What's going on, YouTube? This is Reaper, and I am back with another video. All right. Well, I apologize, everybody, for being so distant in the last, couple weeks, but I have had a hell of a week. I've had a hell of a month too, so I do appreciate everybody that has actually boosted my actual rep and actual, viewpoint and stuff like that. Thank you all so much for the last 3 months for the 9,000. I appreciate that. And I am gonna try to make the best of it this year. So, all right. So on today's video, I just wanted to basically, you know, kind of broach a topic that I kind of see a lot of people kind of complaining about, but not really doing anything really much about it. And that is the fact that most online multiplayer games now are just straight up either boring as shit or they're just straight up, full of people that have no effing idea how to play, which is kind of really, really annoying if you ask me. But, like, for someone like me who has been, around the online scene since its creation, I understand how, generations come and go and generations, mature and then they go on in life and they go basically do on and do different things. And then boom, you got servers, replenished with basic casuals and basic noobs, which is getting really, really irritating. But at the same time, I understand the concept of the entire issue and I understand why people are like so freaking, up, pretty much fed up with basically going into lobbies and having teams not know jack shit how to play, which is understandable. I get it. And that this concept, applies to pretty much all online gaming in general. It doesn't just, evolve around one title or one genre or whatever. It seems to be this same issue across the board. And I personally think that has to do with the fact that humans nowadays have no idea how to really actually use actual, adrenaline or actual, bloodlust to actually get good in these games, which is kind of like my personal thought about the concept. If you're not a tryhard, you're basically just a casual and you're basically doing it to pass time. You're not doing it to improve. You're not playing to, get good or anything. You're just doing it to basically, waste your time and basically waste your energy and waste your actual good potential and to actually to try to actually get some skill built up and stuff like that. But overall, I think this is going to be kind of a trend. I think this is actually going to get worse over the next year or so, especially when we have games like Modern Warfare 4 coming out and GTA 6 coming out and stuff like that. You're going to see a humongous flux of people who don't know how to play. You're going to see a humongous grab of people that just don't know how to do jack shit, which is actually kind of funny. But at the same time, when the world is full of noobs and full of casuals, what else do you expect, right? So, overall, I can tolerate this because, I was there when Xbox Live was first created. I was there when we saw the first round of actual true online enthusiasts run the servers and stuff like that. But now it just seems that you're basically just being batched with a whole bunch of people that just don't know how to basically get good and how to actually use that rage in their heart to actually freaking kill people. Like, do you actually not know actually how to actually, take the objective and actually hold the objective and actually shoot people down? Like, are you that basically lax in freaking sensitivity and freaking, motor skills? Like, come the hell on. But overall, I personally don't think this is going to last forever. I personally think that eventually we will get flux of people that actually do want to get good and actually want to improve again. But over right now, it's just a dry spell of casuals is basically what it is. And for a lot of people that are, touting that, games like Halo and games like COD and games like Battlefield don't hit the same no more, that's very much true. But overall, I think that has to do with the fact that most people that play these games now are not the same people that played, 15, 20, 10, 10, 20 years ago. So, I think that now that we are basically being influxed with a whole bunch of new fresh blood, I think that new fresh blood needs to actually learn actually how to get good and actually how to actually learn how to shoot people down correctly and actually hold an actual, controller and actually learn how to actually use it. But overall, I think that's kind of the gist of the issue. Because nowadays, when you get into a lobby, you're either going to get stomped or you're going to win. It's one or the other. And sometimes games can get rather really close in match, but more times than not, the other team stomps you and then you basically you get screwed. Or you stomp them and then they get screwed. It doesn't really matter. But but overall, I think that most people just don't understand that gaming takes skill, gaming takes, dedication, gaming takes, actual freaking, dedication and stuff like that. And, most gamers nowadays don't want to put dedication into a screen. They want to put dedication into worthless females that basically do not hold any value in their personal daily actual routine or their daily actual their daily responsibilities and crap. And I think that's just kind of funny. But overall, I think that's actually kind of the way of the world now. I think men just want to bow down to women and they just want to basically say, screw my life, screw my life, screw my life. I'd rather just be totally devoted to an absolute total freaking lady than basically have any, responsibility or any independence in life. And that's just kind of how I see it. But, that can't be the 100% issue of the entire problem, right? You can't have a whole bunch of, men that are basically just, fawning over chicks and not playing. But, you also get, chicks that do the reverse and basically farm men all day. And then, you don't have servers basically populated with anything, which is kind of the entire point. So I think gamers really need to find what's really important in their daily routine, and I think they really need to stick to that actual dedication that they want to enjoy. Because I'm personally talking from experience, everybody, and I'm telling you right now, no female on this earth will ever bring you as much satisfaction as you can bring yourself. I promise you that. I 100% promise you that. So if you think that, dedicating your life to a girl is actually more important than having your own personal, free, freedom of independence and freedom of actual enjoyment of whatever you like to do, yeah, you're kind of slow in the head. I'm sorry. That's just kind of how I see it because, men that basically just want to basically dedicate their lives to women and not to themselves, yeah, you're just a pawn in the game that has been lasting centuries. So I'm kind of over that factor because now anytime females on the internet that basically basically stalk my pages and stuff like that, all I do is just basically say one simple sentence: I'm single for life. I'd rather be devoted to a screen than be a side piece for eternity. That is kind of my point. So I would rather be devoted to Xbox, devoted to a PC, devoted to gaming in general than be dedicated to any basically thirsty girl on this planet. And I promise you, you guys, that I promise you that no girl will ever get my actual, my dedication more than a screen. I promise you that because I've been single for 21 years, people. I have been basically faithful to the wonderful universe, and I have been absolutely rewarded with health and actual rejuvenation. So the fact that I have stayed away from thirsty ladies has actually been an actual positive to my health because I have not actually been taken down by any single girl on this planet. And I am quite proud of that. But overall, that's because gaming takes responsibility over women. And I'm sorry, that's just facts. Gaming takes responsibility over family, and that's facts. And gaming takes responsibility over my own personal health, that's facts. So I want to basically, give a piece of advice to all you young guys out there that basically love games, love video games, love gaming in general, love entertainment, love YouTube, love creation and stuff like that. Don't ever let a lady on this on the side basically take away your love for what you love in life. Just do not do that because it is not worth it at the end of the day. No matter what she gives you, no matter what she offers you, nah, it's better to have your own peace and harmony in your life than to basically be controlled by a side piece for eternity. Trust me when I say that. That is absolute facts. But overall, I think that people really, 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 really need to basically get their butts in gear and really start basically being dedicated again. I think they really actually should because overall, gaming is changing and we all see how, Asha Sharma is basically taking Xbox to a whole new level. Come next year, the next generation is coming. We're gonna see a whole bunch of flux of difference in how this industry works come next year. And who knows, because they already announced GTA 6 comes out November 19th. There you go. That means that Call of Duty's probably coming out in October. So there you go. So, but overall, we're about to see a humongous evolution in games, and I think that's going to be a very, very, very interesting. But the core thing to take away from this situation is you gamers got to basically stick to your guns and stick to your love of your passion because no entity on this earth will ever take away your love for what you like to do in life. No soul will ever actually have that actual dominance over your responsibility and your actual independence if you let it, because overall, the most important thing to do in life is to keep yourself happy with whatever you like to do in life. And that's just my piece of advice. But overall, I've had a pretty fun year. I got my 3,000 like quota on TikTok. I got my 9,000 souls on YouTube. I'm good, people. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. But overall, I cannot wait to see what the next stage of Xbox brings. I am looking forward to seeing the next stage of evolution, and I am looking forward to seeing how the community takes this flux of difference and basically either runs with it or they basically will absolutely despise it. We will see. But overall, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the future because overall, I think that this future is going to be bright. It's going to be fruitful, and it's going to be a game changer for most of the gaming industry in general. So, and they say that Sony is backing off. They say Sony is going to basically take away access to PC and stuff like that. Console wars are coming back. Well, I'm telling you right now, people, that if Xbox and Steam combine next year, yeah, Sony doesn't stand a chance. It's kind of sad. It's very, very sad. But, especially if Sony on the PS6 is all they're going to do is just basically rehash PS4 and PS5 games all over again. Nothing new. Yeah, no, Sony is doomed to die. That's pretty much facts. So, I say let the millennial Asha Sharma basically destroy Sony. I totally support that. And the best way to do that is just to basically combine Steam, Epic, and Xbox, and then boom, your Sony is totally screwed, which is going to be kind of fun. but we'll see what the future brings. We will see what Asha Sharma has in store for Xbox down the road. But overall, I think that's actually going to be quite a interesting turn of events. And I think that's going to be quite the game changer for the industry in general. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm quite excited for it. And just so you guys know, I do have the 007 game in my library already, so I am ready to play that on Tuesday. So all I'm doing right now is just working on Battlefield 6 grind, and then I'll play 007 game on Tuesday. So that's gonna be fun. So I'll have new footage for that game come next week, and I will, definitely tell you my thoughts on how I thought the game played and stuff like that. So that's pretty much my plan for the next couple weeks. So that's going to be kind of interesting. But overall, I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a like, give a comment if you have anything, to add to what I said. But yeah, I hope everybody has a beautiful month. And yeah, summer's almost here, people. It's getting hotter and hotter and hotter every day. So better enjoy that beach weather while it lasts. So, anyway, I hope everybody, has a great rest of the weekend. I will actually put up a montage in the next day or so. I just have to find the energy to do it. I already made the song for it. I just have to do the editing part, but I figure I do a quick update video for everybody who was wondering where I went. So, this is Reaper, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful night and a wonderful weekend. Later.